do a training on about training. Why don't we land first of all? So whatever you're doing, put it down if you're happy to, and let's just sit for a minute to sort of be like, I don't know about you, but my days are pretty busy and there's always stuff going on. So it's like, how am I? Land. Notice how you are. Maybe set your intention. We'll probably go for about 2.5 hours. We find 3 hours can be a bit long, so we'll go up to 3 hours, but probably more like 2.5. Setting your intention for that. And before we go into learning or excitement or other people or Mark's jokes, let's just sort of come back to ourselves a little bit, you know, like, how am I? Maybe put a hand on your heart, your belly, or your womb, or whatever you want, and just going, how am I doing? All right. Maybe opening your eyes if you're willing to put your camera on. You don't have to, but it's kind of nice for me to be able to see and interact and engage. If you don't feel like it, I really genuinely get that as well. I have those days. I've been a bit zoomed out lately, so I get that. But if you're willing, put your camera on. Well, look who's here. Who's here? Angela looks smart. Hello, Angela. Hello, Jodie. Hello, Emily. So sort of looking, they look nice, don't they? My workshops get nice people. Let me promise you, this is definitely the case. They have to have a sort of tolerance to put up with my jokes. So this is you. They are normally, you know, pretty nice. Stephen, hi, Stephen. Nice to see you. Love to Belgium. I'm looking through the screens. I'm genuinely sort of looking at you all and just wishing you well for it. Is that Jan? Is that someone else? Nina. Hello, Nina. Nice to see you in Denmark. Yeah, another Belgium. Belgium's in the house today. No one knows what that means when you say Belgium's in the house. What does that mean? Who knows? It's a mystery. Maybe there's chocolate. Hello. I'm going through. I just want to sort of see who's here. And some of you I know quite well. Some of you I'm just meeting for the first time. Yeah, hello, Jan Mundo in New York. Nice to see you. Okay, I think I at least got through everyone who had their video on. So nice to see you. What are we doing? How are you, first of all? Let's just chat before we do the training. How are you doing? Like, give me a number from 1 to 10. The scale is from fucked to orgasmic. Okay, so 1 is like the most screwed you've ever been, like the most like unhappy, miserable, depressed, whatever. Worst you've ever been. And 10 is just like, oh my God, the bliss is uncontainable. You know? So a scale of 1 to 10, how are you today? In the chat, if you haven't found the chat yet, well, come on, get with the program. So getting a sense of it, okay. If you're sort of 5 and below, you might want to just watch the recording, okay? Because this is a learning mode. I don't know about you, but yeah, learning can be nurturing and fun. Actually, I intend to have a good time today, and I hope you do too. However, you know, we're learning. It's not just a sort of nourishing yoga holiday or something. So if you're below a 5, you might want to watch the recording and just go for a walk in the park or have a nap or eat a sandwich or something. Yeah, like it's okay. You can do that. It's fine. Some of you are 8. That lot of 8s. Someone's 88. That 9.9. Oh my God, shalom, David in Israel. Your holes are working correctly. Wow, 99. Okay, 9.9. And what right have you got to be a 9? Seriously, given current conditions. Well, I'm just going to wish you well. All right. What are you here for? What are you here for? What do you want? In one short sentence, because there's 220 of you, okay? So one short sentence with no semicolons. This is the name of the workshop, How to Design an Online Training. You're experiencing this phenomenon now. My name is Mark Walsh. I'm probably notorious from Crime Watch or whatever you have in your country. And this is my colleague, Daniela, who's slightly less famous because she's less of an egomaniac. Daniela, do you want to sort of say hello and introduce yourself? Because I think they probably know you a bit less than me.
Well, that's good. So I'm Daniela, and I did with Mark the Embodiment Conference and did a little bit of Zoom and online trainings and summits before. So my expertise comes from that, basically.
Great. You've been the brains behind the operation. And I have happy slides. We have babies, flowers, kittens, and sunsets. Just 4 today. It's minimum happy slides today. Okay. So if at any point, if you feel like this is too stressful, put in the chat, sunset, kitten, flower or baby. That might not be a happy slide for you if you've got a screaming baby right now. But yeah, just at any point, if it gets too much, we can revert to kittens. Okay? Make sense? Which is your favorite? Please put in the chat. I want to find, this is important, I find this out. So it's sunset, kitten, flower or baby. Which is your favorite? Some of you expected a serious training, didn't you? I'm terribly sorry. While you're voting on that, I will read what you've read. How to learn to get the next steps in my teaching career. Best practice for optional attention. You're asking ADHD boy that. Good luck. Experience a great session. No pressure. No pressure. Imagine going on a date and going, this better be good. This better be really fucking good, this date. Payment options. A bit specific, but we might touch on that. Enlightenment. No problem. Depending on your view of enlightenment, right? One view of enlightenment is if you're in the present moment, you are enlightened. So by that view, if you're paying attention, you're enlightened. Well done. Technical side. We'll do a little bit on that. How is it different from face-to-face training? Well, the first bit of the training is me saying not that much. Okay, so if that's all you came for, go now. Go to the park. Though there are some differences. We will get into what those differences are. How to create am I inspiring and engaging right now? There's so much pressure today. A yin yoga video workshop. Okay, yeah. Kitten. Oh, now we're on Florian. Hello, Florian, in Berlin. Have you got your cap on today, Florian? Feel free to say hello. Sunset, kitten, cat. You don't like babies. What's wrong with you people? I'm all about the babies. One of you likes babies. Good, Joe. I'm glad one person likes the baby, Joe. Everybody else is about the kittens and the sunset. I'm really just, I've missed your aims now. Okay, good. It sounds like you're basically in the right place. I don't know how technical we're going to get. Basic housekeeping. Daniela, tell them everything they need to know about Zoom, as if COVID hasn't made everyone a bloody expert in it already.
Yeah, well, so you all know Zoom already. So for today, I have everybody muted. You can't unmute yourself. The reason is we are having over 200 people in the call. And we are recording this whole workshop. So we want to have a good quality for people who are watching it later. However, if you have questions, please use the chat or raise your hand. You can raise your hand by pressing participants, and that opens a menu which allows you to press.
First one to raise their hand now wins a prize. £300 voucher from my shop. Go. No, not like this. And electronically. Listen to the Daniela. Oh, I think it was Emily. Emily, send Daniela an email or a message and we'll get you a code for a £100 voucher for the shop. That's how you get attention, kids. Giveaways. So crass. I'm so low class. I'm like think of the worst TV channel in your country. I'm that channel. Okay, I'm not the BBC. Right, sorry, Daniela. That was just a quick giveaway.
No, that was actually great. So
do we do more giveaways later on? Who wants more giveaways? Who's low class like me and wants thumbs up for more giveaways later? So some of you are like, no, I'm too classy for that. Okay, fuck you. I'll do it for the others. Sorry, Daniela, after you. There's going to be lots of swearing, by the way. So if swearing offends you, I don't know, look at the world. It's way worse than swearing. It's way worse. So go on, Daniela, sorry. Back to the seriousness.
All good. It was fun. So, and generally, if you don't know Zoom, you can change the way what you see. So you can change between gallery and speaker view in the upper right corner of your screen. And I think that's the most important thing. Maybe one thing, the call will be recorded. So whatever you say here is not confidential. However, if we're doing breakouts at a later point, they will be.
Someone's aim apparently is to find out if I'm single. Oh my God, that's totally harassment in the workplace. If this was America, I would sue that person. Luckily it's not. Thank you. That's very sweet of you, whoever you are. Okay, so anything else on Zoom, Daniela? Practicalities?
I think regarding practicalities for the start, that is enough. And we will come to more Zoom related stuff later.
Yes, other things, if we're going to keep it interactive, but if you do not want to do something, you do not have to do it. That is fine. Equally, if you want to stand up, stretch, move around, that's totally okay with me. I'd prefer it if you didn't go on email or go on the phone. So for example, if we suddenly didn't unmute all now, if you're on like a conference call, I'm like, come on, I'm going to give you my heart and soul here. Yeah. Give the attention back. So please don't go on your email or phones or conference call. If you need to do that, just step away from it, right? That seems fair enough, yeah? But if you need to stretch, if you need to do your cooking, if you need to whatever, make yourself a coffee, you know, it's not school, feel free to move around, especially, you know, 2.5 to 3 hours sat down, it's quite a long time. We will take a break. We'll take a chunky 20-minute break, 15, 20 minutes in the middle, more or less in the middle. And if you're in the breakout rooms, that's confidential. We had a problem yesterday with breakout rooms, but we had like 500 on the call yesterday. So we'll see if Zoom is broken or not today. Let me find out a bit more about you guys. Are you single? No, that's not what I know. So I want to know your job. What is your job? And just like the short version, not the pretentious version, the short version. I know you've got 5 jobs, and you've got like one of those Google titles of learning, synergizing, director of calm or something. But just give me that. Do you have a survey for that, Daniela?
Yes, we do.
Okay, don't type it in the chat. We've got a way better way of doing it. Way better way of doing it. Daniela, hit the survey. So cool, so cool. I get excited about things like this. Okay, you're going to see the geek in me come out now. Daniela, do what you need to do.
I am there. I'm there. Just give me a moment to share it. So what I'm going to do is I'm sharing a link in the chat, and you click on the link, and that opens up a survey, or it should open up a survey. And that survey asks you, what is your profession? Smart, no? And it's a multiple choice. You can just like click one.
Okay, I'm going to go facilitator. I'm going to keep it simple. I could tick like 3, but I'm primarily a facilitator, so I'm going to keep that simple.
And I'm going to share my screen so you can see what fun, geeky stuff is happening here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I love
it. You see the bouncing balls.
This is Daniela's balls.
Yes, we have a lot of coaches and facilitators. We have a couple of yoga teachers, a lot of others. Maybe type in the chat what other is.
Yeah, that would be good. So we got lots of, quite a few body workers. Mm-hmm. 2 martial arts instructors. Who are you, the martial arts instructors? What martial art? Let's find out. Anyone not done? That was quick. Everybody did that really quick, huh?
Yeah, very quick.
Okay.
Should we go to the next one?
Give me a minute. I think a few people are still doing it. It's just creeping up on the... Okay, so mostly facilitators, a bunch of yoga teachers. I am going to make gratuitous jokes about yoga all the way through, okay? So, again, if that upsets you, there's worse things in life. Okay, cool. Next one.
Okay, let me open the next one.
Are we going to do where everybody is? Are we going to do a map?
Yes, also that we can do.
Let's do that. What have we got? Social workers. That's a proper job. Respect to you. Lay about. You know what? Next life, I'm going to do that. Creative art therapist. My mum was an art therapist.
Look at these beautiful bouncing balls. So what is your main practice?
Oh my God, let's find out what people do. This is embodiment's kind of our thing, by the way. So we do design training around embodiment specifically. I'm imagining many of you have a practice. This is in real-time ball bouncing, right?
That's in real-time ball bouncing.
And can they tick more than one for this, or just one?
For this one, they can tick more than one. And I have another one for later. So.
What you got for later? Is it a surprise?
It's basically, yeah, the question is, what do you want to use online training for? I mean, that might be interesting for us to know.
Yeah, we'll find out in a bit. So guys, if it seems like we're just sort of messing around now, it's actually really helpful for me as a trainer to know who's in my audience. So if I'd have done a face-to-face training, for example, I'd have done forms ahead of time with this stuff, right? Well, you could have done this ahead of time, but we wanted to show you it because it's fun and it's like live, it's kind of cool. So finding out who's in your training is really important, whether it be online or face-to-face. Like this, like the questions I've asked you so far, how are you and who are you, right? This is absolutely essential as a trainer for me to have a sense of your well-being, your state, where you're at. cultural stuff we're looking at. That's going to be the next one Daniela's going to put up. But also your job. So quite a lot of you do yoga, so I can use yoga analogies, right? That's going to make sense to quite a lot of you if I start using yoga analogies, but not all of you. That's important. Same with dance. There's a load of dance people here, so we can talk about that. That can be part of the training, part of the analogies I use, part of the examples and metaphors that I use. So more body workers than normal. That's interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So this is telling us something. Daniela and I are both martial artists, and you know, we'd be tempted to be more on that martial arts side. So this is a good reminder to us that there's a different perspective here. Yeah, I also do yoga and dance. Okay, let's find out where you are. So there's going to be big cultural factors around a lot of the training and training design. So this is also just helping you guys kind of like settle in, you know, get to know the vibe, get to know each other a bit more. So this is, you know, part of what we're doing. And what I'm doing now is called second tracking. That's where I describe what we're doing in the training. So in a normal training, I wouldn't say, see what I did there? Wasn't that clever? Well, I might, just because I'm a wanker, but like, that's not necessary. Okay, so the second track is what we'll be doing today. No, you can write it, but we have an even better thing than writing it. Daniela, do you have the map?
Of course I have a map. So maybe I'm putting the link into the map now. I will put it in a moment again. And then I will share my screen and explain how you can put your location into that. And then we have a nice world map to see where everybody is from. So let me show you that. So done. So this is the link. This is the map where I just put the link. You have a little window up here where you can put your location. So I'm in Maastricht. So I will put Maastricht. That finds Maastricht somewhere on the map. And clicking here.
Two vowels. I don't trust anywhere with two vowels next to each other like that. I don't like it. Sorry.
Now I added it to the map. And here, by edit, I can put my name. And then, you know, I'm in Maastricht. And if you guys can do that, we see a lot of people putting their little pin into the map. And we see where everybody is from.
Cool, let's do that.
Cool. Okay, I'm just stop screen sharing and we'll. Okay, so.
Let's find out how many nice Canadians we've got. How many Americans are we going to get upset about me culturally stereotyping Canadians? How many? What's my name?
Okay, try this link. So I gave editing permission. So it should work now.
Okay, so we can just click on that. Yeah?
Yes.
Error not found. Link's not working for me.
That's weird.
Everyone else got an error? It doesn't work. No, try the link again, Daniela. I don't think it came through as a link.
Okay. So some say it worked now.
So it says for error for me, but it's working for some people. That's a bit odd.
I sent the link a second time. So first it was just view, now it's editing. So maybe use the second one I just sent or refresh your page.
That's saying error to me. Refreshing the page would do it, will it? Let's find out. See, this is a good example. Daniela's the techie one and I'm not. No, it's not working for me, Daniela.
Well, sorry. That's what I have right now.
Daniela, oh my God, hang your head in shame. You did this the other day and it worked fine. What happened? That's the only link you've got?
That's the only link I got, yes.
Only working for half the people and not the other half. Okay, so why don't you share screen and let's see where half the people are from. It's very weird it's working for half of us. Huh?
Right now I have nobody, so it really seems not to work. I'm sorry.
Monica has sent us a link that works.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica. Where are you in the world, Monica? It looked like you were in Ecuador or somewhere. Where's that? Guayaquil. I've been there by mistake once. I went on a plane accidentally there. Yeah, Ecuador. Quito, Quito, Quito. Now it's working.
Perfect.
Monica, do you want to join the team? Send Monica a prize. Okay, so what we got? Lots of people from Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. That is typical. Lots of people from Britain, a few from the Spanish islands, quite a lot from the States. Okay, no, it's all right. It looks like they're mostly from the East Coast. A few Californians.
Mark, let me share my screen and people can see what you're actually looking at.
Go for it.
So let's see, where are people coming from? So we have plenty of people in Europe. We have a few in the States and Canada. A lot from the UK, some Spain, France, of course, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany.
Good spread.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good to know. So this is just, again, another one of the tools we sometimes use in trainings and in online trainings to get a sense, because you don't really know who's tuning in a lot of the time. And this can bring you up to speed. So noticing there's a lot of non-native English speakers, we're going to teach you a gesture. This is the please slow down, Mark gesture, okay? I enjoy unmedicated ADHD, so you may need to use this multiple times. Let's all practice. Can everyone practice? Do it before you hate me. Okay, that is the secret. Before you hate me, not afterwards. And this means please slow down. You can also message Daniela to do it, to ask me to do it. And hello, Anna Kane in Brighton. You're just in my town. Check that out. Okay, let's do some actual content. Enough blah, blah, blah. Where are we? Where's my slides? Okay, so I just want to introduce a little bit about, where I'm coming from with this, my particular perspective on training. I've never been formally trained in training, but I have, I'd say, taught over, maybe 100,000 people. And I've been doing it my whole life. My parents were hippie teachers, basically. I grew up in the east of England. My parents were teachers. I was helping on trainings by the time I was 5 years old. And both my parents are teachers. My grandmother was also a teacher of a kind. My granddad worked in a school. It's kind of in my blood. I studied psychology, so I've studied a bit of learning theory, a lot of martial arts and outdoor education. I've also done a lot of teaching and doing courses in like war zones and cross-culturally. I mean, I've worked in like 40 countries at least, and some of that really in some quite unusual situations. About 13 years ago, I started doing corporate training more seriously, like professionally. And that's been my job, running a company for the last 13 years. I run something called the Embodied Facilitator course, which is a big in-depth online training. I'm not trying to sell it to you because it's full up this year now. And we also have the Embodiment Conference, which is, where we started in 2018 doing online trainings, probably started in 2017. And then we just got a lot of experience through the conference and other things. And sort of most weeks now I'm doing online trainings for between 200 and 500 people. We did one yesterday that had about 500, Daniela. So it's pretty normal most weeks for me now that I do a training that has a few hundred people most weeks. And I guess what I love about that is scale. So if you look at the Embodied Facilitator course picture there, that's a full up picture of 30 happy people and 10 members of staff. That was absolutely full up. And economically, that's just the sort of only viable way to do it. It has to be expensive. It has to be really expensive, because we have to book it. You can't see it there, but there's a big manor house that we're in, and there's 10 members of staff. It's really full on. And we have food and we have accommodation. And some of you have done EFC, like as you did the Russian version of this, for example. It's a great course, but you got to be pretty well off to afford it, and probably not have kids, right? Because you can leave your kids for a week, 2 weeks in a year. Okay, you might better have a considerate grandmother or something, right? So what I realized was it's actually making the work I love, embodied work is what I love. You might love whatever you love, making it quite inaccessible. Whereas online training, it's scaled. Like we had 15,000 people turn up for the Embodiment Conference. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And we've got 100,000 booked already for October. And my target now is 1 million people for the conference in October, who we would be training online. Yeah, 1 million. We will certainly reach 500,000. So, the million's a stretch target, 500,000 is the easy target. So that's incredible that just some guy with bad jokes can reach so many people and make work that I think is valuable available to so many people. Not only that, it will be free. And because we sell the recordings, I'll probably make more money from it than anything I ever have in my life. So business-wise, it makes a lot of sense. Like the embodiment conference was my biggest single earning thing of that year. And I was not expecting that. I was happy if it would break even. Even if it broke even, it would have been good because it would have built up my email list and this kind of thing. But, you know, status and credibility, you know, that kind of thing, reputation. But ended up being my sort of biggest income stream from the year, way more than EFC. So I thought, well, hang on a minute, this is amazing. I can stay home, right? Like you could like be teaching online training. You could literally like have sex in the break, right? You could go, you cook your own food. I had a home cooked meal today. I was like, wow, I actually cooked real food as opposed to like grabbing a sandwich in an airport or something, which is most of my life, right? When I'm running around the world doing trainings. And I can reach more people and potentially make much more money because of the scalability. Like this Foundations of Embodiment certification, again, not trying to sell you it, started and it's full up this year. That had 210 people sign up for, 210 people, each paying probably, what was it, £500 or more. So that ended up making way more money for me than EFC, and way more people had access to it. Yeah, now we're going to go into the pros and cons of in-person versus online, but certainly economically and in terms of, and this is definitely an ethic for me, is access. A lot of people just can't get to face-to-face trainings because of COVID, because of environmental reasons, they don't want to fly, because of economic reasons, because of family reasons, because of disability reasons. There's so many reasons. Yeah, here's the thing, we don't see the people who don't come to our trainings. And when we started doing online trainings, all of a sudden I was like, oh, look at that, someone with kids. Oh, look at that, someone in a wheelchair, right? It's not to say we ban people in wheelchairs, of course, but are you going to travel across London through 3 tube chains to get to Brighton if you've got a wheelchair? Maybe less likely to, right? Maybe less likely to. So that is one reason I've love online trainings, and I've done lots of clients, lots of work, blah, 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 blah. Today, please be as open-minded as you can. Trainers are interesting. Trainers are, who's a learning junkie like me, just loves learning. A lot of you are facilitators, yoga teachers, right? And who is professionally clever? Who is paid to know stuff? Yeah. So come on, put your hands up. It's most of you. You have some expertise. Now you're like, no, I'm merely a facilitator. Shut up. Shut up. Most of you are professionally clever, and neurotically, you chose a job where you get to be in charge all day. Okay, so it would be very, like, think of yoga teaching, right? A yoga teacher is telling people how to breathe. Oh my God, what could be more fascist than that? Okay, what could be more of controlling than that? So you've probably got something around telling other people what to do. I have, it's pure projection this, okay, something about being in control and something about knowing, or else you wouldn't be in this job. Now, hopefully that doesn't run the show. You've still got some open-mindedness. So what I'd like you to do is reach in there, take that part of you that knows everything already. Please do the actions. Reach in. Where is it for you? Reach in. That's usually my brain, not in my heart. Okay, that part of me that knows everything already, that likes to be in charge and is an expert, and just put that on the side. Give it some love because it's been making you money and keeping you safe, and it's a nice part of you. Just put it to the side. You can pick that up afterwards. You with me? This is making it, do I just seem like a mad person? Does this make sense? So I'm encouraging you to be open to learning today. Yeah. So this is a prerequisite for when you have loads of facilitators and yoga teachers. I've found this is very, very useful. All right. So first model. First thing to say, online training in many ways isn't that different. So I'm going to spend the first half of the seminar, the next hour basically, going through what is helpful, what is just good training design. This is going to be, I'm obsessed with training. This is going to be a masterclass in training design. Those of you who know a lot about training design, you can add to it, you can chip in, I can learn something too, that's great, no problem, but this will be good. This will be helpful. Okay, the second hour after the break, okay, will be more about how online is different, what's different, what about Zoom, how do we build connection online, how do we keep attention online, etc., etc. So there's sort of 2 parts to the training. Does that make sense? If you don't want the first part, that's cool. Go to the park, go take a dump, go masturbate, whatever you want to do, just chill out for an hour. You can come back in an hour, okay, and just do the online part. If you're not interested in the online part, if you're thinking, well, I'm more interested in training design, then that's cool too. Just stay for the first part. Does this sort of sound like what you thought you were signing up for? Thumbs up if it does. If it doesn't, that's okay. What I'm doing now, by the way, is checking expectations with delivery. This is a really important success factor in training. Again, if I had 10 of you and this was being run by a corporation, we would have done this beforehand. Yeah, this is the kind of thing you can be like, you can send out a survey. What are you hoping to get from the training? What are your expectations? All that stuff we did, you know, what's the culture background? What's the gender breakdown? How old are the participants? You know, what job description do they have? Will people be in the room with their boss? That's different, isn't it? You ever been on a training with your boss? Everybody open up and be vulnerable. No, even worse for the boss, by the way. This is an issue for me now, actually. When I go to trainings, often people know who I am. And I don't say this with any ego. They just have heard of my podcast, or I went to a really good yoga training with Julian Martin. I walked in and someone said, "Oh, it's the podcast guy." And like 5 out of the 20 people on the training knew me from the podcast. Okay, so now I'm going, okay, that's great. That's really nice. But am I now as vulnerable and open as I could be as a learner? Right? I'm going, okay, now I'm sort of representing myself professionally, right? It's a little bit different. It's a bit of a different situation. Okay, so this is some of the stuff we're picking up ahead of a training, is who's there, what they want. We've done this with you already. I'm second track. This is second track. Okay, so we're looking at who's there, what they want. A lot of this you can establish pre the training. Another thing I've been doing is building warmth and authority. This is something we do early in a training. I may have unsuccessfully done that, but actually, you know what? Let me pause. I'll come back to that. Let me do the overview. A really simple way of thinking about training is in terms of the cycles, a cycle, or the seasons, if you prefer. Now, I know if you're in Thailand and you don't have these seasons, it's different, okay? So these are sort of Western European, I get that. But we all get the idea, I think. So we've got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and afterwards, an ended, okay? Any book has this. Any advert has this. Any film has this. Any date has this. Any kiss has this. Any hug has this. What else has this? Put in the chat. What else has this cycle of beginning, middle, and end? Different stages. Turning on, turning off, off. Meeting, relating, parting, aloneness. Preparing to do, doing. Completing, resting. What else has this? It's in Brazil. Oi, Linda. A meal, right? Okay, a meal. So you got the first course, the middle course. Who said that? Are you Italian? And the afterwards. Caterpillar to butterfly. That's a little bit different. Caterpillar to butterfly is good, but it's a different metaphor. Birth. I don't know about birth. Does birth have this? Huh? Cool. Menstrual cycles. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Run. Okay, like a warm up, a run, then a cool down. That makes sense. Like a gym session would have this. Death is involved in this. Life. Someone said everything. Give that person a prize. Everything is basically, this is nature. You know? Travel. A joke definitely has this. It has a setup, and it has a punchline, it has a resolution. Comedy definitely has this. Birth, conception, pregnancy, birth, afterbirth. Thank you, Darren. That's good to know. A party. Yes, a party has this, doesn't it? Yeah. A smile. Interesting. That's a small. A phone call. You don't answer the phone like this. Yeah, what do you want? It's like, hello, it's Mark here. How can I help? You know, there's a beginning, and then there's a conversation, and then you don't end the phone call like this. Bye. Okay, you end. Okay, yeah, it's been really nice to talk to you. Yeah, my main takeaway was this. Okay, yeah, I'll see you next week. Okay, laters, mate. Take care. Bye. There's an ending, right? There's some sort of ending to it. You'll see this in movies. American movies tend to start in the middle with the action. You know, rah, straight away, rah, crazy. French movies have this like long, drawn out characterization at the beginning. It's like, there's a car going up a road. Yep. 20 minutes later, car's still going up a road. Okay, characterization is the beginning of a movie, right? You lay out who the characters are, what their relationships to each other are, this kind of thing. Then there's some kind of action, some kind of change, some kind of challenge, some kind of transformation. It's either a battle or a transformation. And there's some kind of resolution. In Shakespeare, do you know what happens at the end of Shakespeare? Only 2 things. How does everybody end up at the end of Shakespeare? Anyone know? Yeah, Dad was an English teacher. 2 ways, married or dead. That's it. Okay, because both of them are nice resolutions. There was a love story, there was conflict, now they're married, okay? There was a love story, there was a tragedy, now they're dead, okay? Romeo and Juliet, not a good love story, not teenagers, fucking very weird. Okay, so there's this basic cycle. So every training, night and day, the 4 seasons, menstrual cycles, whatever. We're wired to think this way. We're wired to feel if it don't feel right. So we can look at this as a cycle. We could also look at this as a U-curve. So the simplest model we have of training design that we teach all our students is called the U. Okay, where is the slide for this? There we go, the U. To see what I did there? That made me really happy. Okay, so it's this one. The U is the bottom right one. Okay, not the U sheep or the U tree, the U curve. Now, this curve on the x-axis would be time, the y-axis would be depth. Okay, so this is represented mathematically. If we were to represent it pictorially, it would be reversed. Yeah, so increasing depth with time. Yeah, and then less depth. So what is getting deeper? What do I mean by deeper? Reflect on that. Let's have a stretch break. 5 seconds, have a little stretch. Didn't give you a beginning to that little stretch break, so it might have felt abrupt. Coming to the end of your stretch break. So what is the flow here? Well, here's one example. Shallow, deep, shallow. Yeah, so if you're doing something that has who's doing something with emotional depth? Give us a wave. Okay, if you have emotional depth, that should be in the middle. It's like a depth sandwich. Yeah, the known to the unknown. So start people off with the familiar. Yeah, and if they don't, and help them understand each other, help them get familiar with each other, then you can do something crazy and weird. And then you come back at the end of the training, I'll say, how does this apply to you? That's the autumn. These are 3, you don't sort of need to put winter on because the winter's just not the rest. It's like rest, okay? So known, unknown, known is the flow, spring, summer, autumn. Conscious to unconscious to conscious, that would be a normal pattern we would be working on in a embodiment training or many kinds of body training. Yeah, so we started this training off as strangers, right? We started this off not knowing each other. We're now getting to know each other. Now, not particularly with this size group super well, right? This is why trainings should be kept to a small size. If you want real trust, real connection and intimacy, it's hard to do that with 265 people online. Okay. However, we are starting to get to know each other. You've got to know Daniela a little bit. You're getting to know the vibe. I'm talking about people that are here. You know, I've mentioned a few names. So there's a little bit of getting to know each other going on. And then at the end is the parting. Yeah. Some of you people will be leaving early, mentally, if not actually. Some of you will be clingy. Who are the clingy people? Come on, put your hands up. You're the one at the end of yoga class asking the teacher, oh, just one more question. And the teacher's trying to go home and you're like clinging on to them. Yeah, you're the last out of the conscious dance studio when everybody else, the lights are on, the music's packed away. You're still there. Okay, so we all have personal patterns around this. And as a trainer, you need to be aware of your personal pattern. Who is an abrupt starter like me? You go straight to summer, you miss the spring. Okay, and who likes the long drawn out, lots of foreplay, lots of spring, lots of characterization, lots of, no, it might depend on the domain, right? I get that, right? Okay, and who likes the intensity of summer? You're like depth junkies. You're like, listen, I know I've just met you, but let's eye gaze and talk about our most intense experiences. Yeah? And who's like, yeah, let's keep it a little bit surface level, like the British. We like to talk about the weather. Don't really want to hear about that. It's a bit intense. None of you? Less trainers, actually. What about endings? Who tends to be like in a hurry to get out the door? Okay, come on, let's wrap things up. Let's go. Yeah, Anna knows a pattern. Let's wrap things up. Let's go. And who tends to be more like the clingy type I mentioned, yeah? Now, as a facilitator, let's use the example of a 90-minute yoga class. Who has a beginning? Who here does like a 10-minute beginning? A 5-minute beginning? How is everyone? What do you need today? Okay, what's going on? We're just going to start on our backs with a body scan before we go into the asana, maybe a little bit of pranayama. And who makes that last half an hour? Half an hour of a 90-minute class, quite a lot. So makes, how long's too much, right? 20 minutes, depends. Yeah. And what about the ending? Do you know yoga teachers that always never leave enough time for Shavasana? Yeah, he does. Is it his fault, Nicole? Yeah, I don't know his name. It's assuming he belongs to you if you're on lockdown together. So so that's an example of someone not making a nice autumn. Or too much, right? Too much is like stopping the class halfway through and then going into ending. And people are like, hey, we're just getting warm, we haven't had that intense period, In like a 5 rhythms dance class, they have different kinds of music, right? So they call it the wave rather than the U-curve. And they have a very set model of this for those of you who know conscious dance. In a corporate setting, it's the introduction, the actual, here's the presentation. Every TED talk you ever saw, here's what I'm going to tell you. Tell them, here's what I told you. Call to action, change the world, yay. Okay, so it's the beginning, middle, and end again. Corporate training, it's the beginning, the learning and goals, establishing the goals, it's the actual training, and it's the review and evaluation. Usually you find in the corporate world that people don't have a winter, so they don't have a period afterwards where they stop and reflect. They just go straight out the door to the next meeting. It's one reason I often end trainings a little bit early. It's because that way, if people do want to reflect, they've still got like 20 minutes in their diary where you can like make a cup of tea and go, okay, how was that? Yeah, it's another reason I never go overtime, because otherwise people are out the door. Yeah. Okay, outer world, inner world, integrated world. That's an interesting one. This is Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey. Anyone know Hero's Journey? Of course you do. You know everything. You're trainers. So it's, this is the Hero's Journey is a profound model. You can study it for a lifetime. Or you can watch Star Wars. Did you know, Daniela, one of the EFC students hadn't watched Star Wars, so I made them watch it. They watched all 3 of them.
I will integrate this into the interview.
Please do. That's an essential criteria for joining the course. You have to know your essential criteria. This is actually a really interesting point. Daniela, do you want to talk about interviewing people? And before people are even allowed on our biggest course, what do they have to do?
So what do they have to do? They need to fill out an application, send it to me, and then I'm having an interview of about 45 minutes usually, based on the application. So what I'm usually asking is, why do they want to join the course? So establishing goals, establishing an intention, seeing if that matches with the course. But also asking about if they can deal with the intensity of the course. So
are they a good fit? Are they a good fit is what you're establishing in different ways, right? So what are the ways people might not be a good fit for EFC, just as an example? There's at least 5.
So not being open to new experiences, being an expert, not open to learning, being, how to say this, emotionally not in the place to go into an intense training.
It's too damaged. Some people are just having a hard life. They just had a divorce. Dad just died. They're just not in a place where it's kind, right?
Right.
Klaus, get off the phone. So rude.
I think also dealing with jokes, so having humor is a super important part, especially doing a training with you. And not being attached to one method. So we do have a non-guru approach.
Okay, so what Daniela's doing is she's checking students who are a good fit for the course and our style. So some of you didn't do due diligence and you turned up today and went, I didn't know there'd be bad jokes. Oh my God, this guy's awful, right? Some of you knew exactly what you're getting into and you told your friends. You said, you should come to this, you'll find it really funny, it's good, he's a good guy, he'll teach you stuff. So that fit is what you need to establish at the beginning of a course or preferably before it. Yeah, so if this was a course where, with these free courses, we're fairly open around stuff like this. We do say on the marketing, like this is what the vibe is. We try and give that impression. However, people will slip through. Those of you who saw my marketing call, you can buy that now online. This is where we talk about the fit and the filter. Okay, So your yoga class is not for everyone. Who's a yoga teacher? Give me a wave. Who's a yoga teacher? Nicole, who is your yoga class for? I'll unmute you also because I want to know the name of this good-looking man next to you. I want the gossip. Could you unmute Nicole, please, Daniela?
I'm trying. Yeah, no.
Nicole, who is your yoga class for?
People who are interested in going a bit deeper, like in chakra work and.
Okay, so like people that want a bit of depth, not just the fitness side.
Yeah.
What kind of people?
You want the age or what?
You could do the demographic or the psychographic. You know what? We'll do that another time. I can help you niche that down. But that's at least something, right? She's saying her yoga class is for people that want the depth, right? So they're not for the yoga bimbo who wants to have, you know, the Instagram body. That's not your target group, right?
Yes.
Cool. What's the name of the good-looking man?
I was in your workshop in Berlin.
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. It's nice to see you, sir, again. I just thought there was some gossip there I might need to know about. Okay, moving on. So, filtering your audience to find the right people. This is part of the pre-work. And you do that explicitly, like interviewing people, Daniela, but you don't always interview. Sometimes you just do it in your vibe, the picture you use. I do it in my pricing. You know, we did a course once that was £99 unless you were Bikram, and then it's £999 because you're Satan. That's what it said literally in our pricing for a yoga course once. Okay, rapist motherfucker. All right, so excuse me, a little bit of anger there. So it's why do people still give him money? What's wrong with people? Anyway, so we're declaring in that little joke in the pricing that, hey, if you're into Bikram yoga, you're probably not our audience. Okay, you're probably not our audience. We do it in the pictures we have. We have fun pictures. We have silly pictures. We do it in the text. So you're ahead of a training. You're already getting people ready for what you do. You're already in the spring. You're already warming people up. So your marketing is not separate from your training. It's a lead-in. It's a lead-in, and it can really damage your training if it doesn't fit your style. Yeah, so authentic marketing is one of the best things to prep people for your training and get the people who are the right fit. Is this interesting? It's sort of marketing rather than training design, but I hope this makes sense. People that are good on this, Tad Hargrave and Mark Silver, George Cow, maybe someone could put these in the chat. These are the ethical marketing gurus that I recommend. Also do look at our marketing one of these that we did a few days ago. We'll probably do it in a few months' time. Okay, back to the model. So we have a flow, self, other, self in the world. Yeah. Abstract, it's like, hey, this is the thing. Personal, making it a bit more real for you. And then how does it apply? So towards the end of the day, we're going to be saying, so what? How does this apply to you? Why does this matter for you? Yeah. Trusting is what we're doing. Believe it or not, I've been attempting to build trust with you for the last 49 minutes. How do you build trust? How have I'll take a slight leap here. How have I built trust with you for the last 49 minutes? Give me some examples. Things that I've done. Being real, being authentic. Yes, 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 yes. So important. Okay, humor. Yes, humor's good. Swearing actually builds trust in a way. Depends on the person, but for my group, my audience have more trust when I swear. Listening, okay, like taking things on from you, naming what's real. Okay. I did a bit of authority building. So did Daniela. Did you notice how we built authority? So trust has two parts, warmth and a power, warmth and authority, love and power, the yin and yang of trust. So the yin is be nice, listen, tell jokes, be warm, be considerate, give consent. That helps establish safety, right? You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Establish boundaries. This is the yang side. Did you hear me tell Klaus off for being on his phone? Now, Klaus seems lovely. I've got nothing against Klaus. But that's actually establishing boundaries, saying, here are the rules for today. Here are the times for today. Yeah, I've worked with about 50,000 children. And when you work with children, it's like working with your part of your brain. Dogs are the same. Part of your brain's like a kid or a dog. Yeah, a big part of it, actually. The emotional part of it. If you're too nice, they don't trust you. because they don't feel safe. Okay, if you're too mean, they don't trust you because they don't feel safe. So here's what charters unconsciously learn. You need to be nice enough not to kill me, but strong enough to kill people who would kill me. Make sense? Dogs are like this too. They have to know their place in the hierarchy. So on this level, warmth, we're equal. We're all human beings. We're all in this together. I'm not superior to you on this level. On the level of what I'm teaching, I better be superior to you, or else why are you here? Let alone if this was a paid workshop paying me money. On the level of the subject matter, I should be above you in a competence hierarchy, and that should be clear. Yeah. So that's partly that I show my knowledge, my experience. I talked about all the countries I'd worked in. Daniela talked about the conference. That's establishing authority. Even better if someone else introduces you, because then you don't seem boastful. And all the Scandinavians and Dutch and British don't hate you. Okay, because in certain cultures, you're not allowed to boast about how cool you are. Yeah. Americans can. Americans come online, they're like, I'm amazing. I have done so much cool shit. I am fucking amazing. Like in Britain, we'd be like, oh, what a wanker. Yeah, to say, depending on, it's called the power variance of the country. So the lowest power variance would be somewhere like Australia or Ireland. That's where my family are from. It's like you call your boss May, it's very pally. The highest would be somewhere like Russia or Arabic countries, where they absolutely want to see power variance, absolutely want to have a power established. Yeah, and this is partly political. Conservatives like more power distance, liberals like less. It's partly cultural, it's partly personality based. But you need to establish authority and power distance and boundaries. That's the yang side, as well as the warmth and the trust. And trust is both of these, and the connection. Is this making some kind of sense? This alone, by the way, is worth the thousands of dollars you should have paid for this workshop. Okay, that alone is worth fucking a lot of money, just in terms of that insight into what trust is. How do you establish trust? Safety. Who's doing work with delicate populations like people who've been traumatized or refugees? Same stuff, even more. Yeah, Kavessa, is it? Kavessa in Sweden? Super important you establish both of those things. Both of those things. And again, if you're working with refugees from, say, Syria, it's going to be real different than if you're working with Dutch people. Yeah, I don't make my own tea in Russia. I wouldn't dream of making my own tea in Russia. Somebody else brings me my tea. Okay, in Holland, I'm making my own tea as a point, because otherwise they'd be like, oh, who do you think you are? You think you are better than us? We're all making shadaiks together. What is the problem? So tell me, your country, has it got high or low power hierarchy, do you think? It's different in different places, actually, even within the US, for example. But who thinks there's this high? Germany's an interesting one. Germany is high pretending to be low because Hitler. Yeah. Depends on the industry. Yeah, industry is different. Italy's fairly high hierarchy. Yeah, I would agree with that. Put the name on there so I can see which country you mean. And it can be the industry, right? Certain industries are much more formal. They want to have the authority rather than the warmth. Other industries, much more casual. Tech sector, working a t-shirt. How you establish this, it could be the clothes you wear, the background you're with, and online, it's kind of like what you're showing. This is a bit more formal than this. This is like, hey, this is my house, no big deal. This is my sofa, I'm hanging out. Yeah, it's a bit less power hierarchical. Before it's a bit like pristine, zen. US, anyone can claim anything. Canada, nothing else to say. Spain is very high. Yeah, I mean, Spain was fascist until what, 1974? Right? What a dictator. It's really interesting to see Spain and Italy get dictatorial again with COVID. They fell right back into a cultural pattern. Really interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, the U-curve. First part is spring. There's a lot on here. Can you read this? Shall I put it in the chat in case you can't? It's more than you should ever put on a slide, by the way. This is a bad practice for a slide. Put it in the chat as well. Yes, slow down, I know. Wish people's brains would speed up. So this is what you do at the start of a training. I've just been talking about all of this. That was what I was just talking about, trust. Inspire, calm or energize, depending on how much energy people have. Create the container. Who uses the concept of a container? Give me a wave. So a container is the rules and boundaries within which transformational work occurs. Yeah. Therapists, for example, would have a container of time. They'd have a container of, for example, they wouldn't be involved in intimate relationships with someone they're doing therapy with. Yeah, a tennis coach might not have that container. They might not need that container. Yeah. There's certain embodiment things that we do. There's certain things you'll see me do on every embodiment workshop I teach. Like I'll teach, where is it? This model, almost every time I teach embodiment. There's reasons for that are specific to embodiment, but this isn't an embodiment course. So this is from my new book on embodiment that isn't published yet. Not the embodiment stuff doesn't apply to everyone. Consent and confidentiality, I think I did that. Self-care, I think I encourage you to leave if you were too stressed out. Mindset, expectations, learning theory, what we're about to do, you know, what's coming up. Did a bit of that. Time frame setting. Yeah. Okay, enough of me talking. One of the key principles of online training is don't just talk at people for a long time. Let's try a breakout group. How do you do spring is the question. You will have a group of 5 or 6 people and you'll have 5 minutes. You need to manage your own time. So 5 minutes in your group, and make sure the American doesn't just take all the time. And to discuss the question, I love America, particularly New York and Austin. They're my 2 favorite places in America. And 5 minutes to discuss the question, how do you do spring? How do you do spring? I've just seen a Finnish person here. Finnish people have a very slow spring in my experience. They don't jump into things in Finland. In Finland, things are slow. Estonia as well. It's a cliche, but some truth in it.
Hey, I created the breakouts. You might find yourself with a few more people. If you find yourself alone, because not everybody wanted to join the breakout, give me a moment to rearrange. So with that, opening the breakout session.
I will stay here. If you don't want to join a breakout, you don't have to, of course. I've just seen my friend Steve. Hello, Steve. Steve Lane. Hello, Anushka. I'm just saying hello to my friends. It's Anushka from London here, EYP teacher. Hello, Anushka. Okay, people back. Say something intelligent. What did you learn about how you do spring? Unmute yourself and say a sentence or two. Actually, put your hand up and then Daniela will unmute you. What did you learn about your spring, or just say, this is how I do my beginning? Michelle, let's hear from you.
Thank you. I discovered a big thing. I'm a summer person. I start with the summer and go back to the spring if necessary.
Okay, so dive in at the deep end and then afterwards do the introductions.
Exactly. And the
Wonderful.
theory and the psychoeducation.
What might be the problem for that in a training?
Yeah, there are a lot of people overwhelmed.
Okay, it's too much, right? Too much too soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have this pattern personally, people will say things like you're too much, or I used to get you're intense, and I'd be like, intensely what? Boring? Fun? What? you know. So this is when people like me, and I think you as well, that have that jump into the summer. It's like it's too much. Yeah. Okay, got it. So good to know for other people's benefit. Me and you can do that. When me and you hang out, we can just go straight into it. Okay, but with the other people, we might want to take a step back. Okay, someone else, Lisa D. You sound like a rapper, Lisa D.
Nice to meet you, Mark. Hello, everyone. From San Diego. I'm a non-boastful American.
Excellent. Good zoo. I heard the zoo's very good.
Oh, yeah, I've never been there, honestly.
Never been to the zoo. Okay,
Originally from, but I've been here 23 years. Anyway, you know what I discovered, Mark, is that I use my body to establish authority, because when I first started speaking, I would stand to the side of the stage, and the person that introduced me literally physically moved me to the center of the stage. And someone said, draw a circle around yourself, speak from that circle and project your energy out, but don't go beyond the circle. So in other words, it's how I energetically project myself is establishing authority. And
okay.
Yeah.
Let's all do that. Everybody, could you, if you're willing, stand up and introduce yourself in the least authoritative embodiment you can find. Okay, so like the meekest, most pathetic, least confident way you can find. Because if you do that, you could not do that afterwards. Okay, so everyone give it a go if you're willing. Stand and be like, hi, I'm Susan. I'm here to tell you about embodiment, if that's okay. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. Like actually verbalize it if you're willing, guys. Okay, now let's do something else. Stand up, find your base, solid feet. Take your hands, start here. Relax your belly, soften your chest. And then take the hands up. Okay, both hands, especially if you're German. Extend the arms out and forward. So not here or here, but if I look at it from the side, I'm like that. Okay. Not here, above your head. Too low, Angela. There we go. Extend your fingers together. Not here, that's different. Here. Carolyn, you're too wide, a bit narrower. There we go. That's nice. Yeah, good, Alex. Extend your arms, Kavesha. You too, Angela. Straight arms. Now you're going to take your arms down, but see if you can keep that energy, that feeling. Now stand more normally. Feet flat, knees slightly bent. Relax the belly. Say, ah. Now introduce yourself again. Say, I'm Claire, I'm going to teach you about this. I'm John, I'm going to teach you about this. You keep that energy, that feeling of this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure. It's all embodiment, kids. It's all embodiment. This is why you can talk to a dog and the dog respects you. The dog doesn't speak English, right? This is what you do with kids. Yeah. You just walk into a room. I used to do this with like 50 kids, 100 kids. Like, hello, I'm your trainer today. Pleased to meet you, kids. Come here. Yep, you too, over here. Okay, let's go. Immediate authority. As opposed to like, hi, it's okay if we do it. Kids will eat you alive. Kids are merciless. You want some good feedback? Kids are the best you've got. Horses, dogs are pretty good, but kids, packs of wild animals who will eat you alive if you don't have authority. Yeah. Bit of warmth, soften, relax, open. Yeah, let's get the warmth back. We went into authoritative mode there. Where is the love? Cool. One more on the spring. Caroline. Caroline?
Carolyn, well, these days you're really starting with LinkedIn. So you have to be really look at your profile and think about, is it really presenting you the way you need to be presented? Because I check out who I'm going to be training and they're doing the same thing. So.
Okay, great. So not for all audiences, of course. For Instagram, it might be for yogis, it might be Instagram.
Yeah, right.
However, this is worth noting that this establishing trust, authority, credibility, warmth starts with social media for a lot of people.
Right.
Okay, good point. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so I want to move on. Spring. We're moving into the summer of this course now, by the way. We've been here an hour and 10 minutes. We're no longer in spring. We're in the meaty part of the course. All the tofu for our vegetarian friends. Okay, summer. So the middle part of the course. What do we do here? Well, we do the work. In some ways, the spring and the autumn are the ones I'm going to say most about. I'll put this in the chat for everyone as well. Okay. The summer's just sort of like do the thing, right? Say the stuff, have the intense experience, hold the container, deliver the core material, keep the learning focused, keep going. Yeah. Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. You know, can deepen the warmth and authority, but you don't really, if you've done a good job at the beginning, the middle's just you doing your job. It's just like right now, I'm just delivering the content. I'm not having to prove trust. I'm not having to, if I kept trying to prove myself now, it'd be really low status actually. If I kept sort of dropping in references to stuff, you know, oh, come on, Mark, just give us the juice, right? Give us the stuff. So the summer is relatively straightforward. The summer's the intense bit, you know, the stuff there. Autumn gets a bit more complicated again. What is the, actually, you know what? You tell me, what is the job of autumn? Second track, always keep it interactive, keep people awake. Don't just talk at them. I am not a dancing monkey. You have to do some work if you want to learn. You are not a passive consumer, no matter what television has told you. So what is the job of autumn? In prison too. Is that was the dog's example. Thank you, Anita. I will never mess with you again if you've been in a Polish prison. Okay, what else? Digestion. Yeah, digestion could be winter, but it starts in autumn. The harvest. What a beautiful way of saying it. The harvest. Integrating, anchoring. Solidify key learnings. Yes. So we go from the deep but insubstantial to the solidified. Often in embodied work, that's from the non-verbal to the verbal. Conscious dance is horrible at this, horrible. Conscious dance, we will have like a big, deep experience, right? And then afterwards, they just go, right, that's the end, have a nice life. And you're like, whoa, right? Like that ability to like, what I would do in conscious dance classes, I'd say pair up, find a friend, 10 minutes, what were your 3 key insights from today? Or maybe, tell you what does a better job, Tamalpa. It's a form of conscious dance that uses art. If you've heard of Daria Halperin or Anna Halperin. So they get you to draw stuff. Yeah, that's a good thing to do in autumn. Reflection, pulling it all together. Application. So right now, if I've done my job properly, and this is hard with online training, you are deep in the belly of the beast. You're deep in the embodiment training. You can't even remember your name. You don't know where you live. You don't know what you're doing this evening. You're just so caught in the training. It's amazing. It's so intense. And then afterwards, we want you to think about what you're doing this evening and what you're doing tomorrow and your job and how this applies to your marriage and your life. Does that make sense? So in the middle of a training, it's like in the middle of sex. Like if someone knows their own name in the middle of sex, you're not doing your job properly. Okay. So like they should be like, I can't even speak now. Right. Afterwards, have a chat. How was it for you? Did you like that? Well, do you want me to do different next time? Did you just do the thing I did with the dolphin? You into that? Yeah. Have a little chat. Make it verbal. Make it conscious. It's the same with training. Some of you are looking at me like, what the fuck now? You remember it though. This is another way of keeping engagement is use borderline inappropriate analogies. This is a Mark Walsh special. It's not for everyone in all contexts. Actually, it kind of is. In a business context, I still use borderline inappropriate metaphors. They're just more conservative. Does that make sense? So use the metaphors that are memorable, that make people go, dolphin sex, what the fuck? You'll remember that. Now, I'm not going to use dolphin sex metaphors in a corporate environment or if I'm working with kids, right? With kids, the metaphor might be, you smell. That to them is borderline inappropriate. Does it make sense in that environment? Nah, that's a side. Okay, autumn slide. Yes, thank you for Thank you for keeping me on track. Autumn slides. So let's see what you got. Check the aims were met. That's important. People then can feel satisfied. If you don't do that, people won't be satisfied, and that's bad for you and for them. Trust. You might want to give the authority away. I'm no longer the expert. It's down to you. If I keep my expertise all the way through, it's not great for you. Yeah? You want them to be the experts at the end. Give them confidence. Emotionally, support letting go. Completion is key. Again, if people don't complete, there's this sense of like, it's not quite enough. Yeah? Connect to other areas. Like at the beginning of trainings, people will say, hey, is embodiment like this? And shut up. No, I don't care. Be quiet. No, stop it. Okay. At the end of trainings, I want them to connect it to everything else they know. At the beginning, I want them to let go of that. Yeah. Clarification of insights and applications. They're the two big ones I always do in trainings. What did you learn? Let's clarify the insight. How are you going to apply this in the real world? Landing. How? Let me give you a question here. This is an interesting one. How should people be emotionally at the end of a training? Any training at all. How do you want them to be emotionally? Now, you know, life happens. It might not be this way, but as an ideal. Inspired, kind of. Inspired's more important at the beginning. Though motivated to continue practice, they need a certain amount of inspiration. I want them to be satisfied, have a sense of completion so they can go on to it. Yeah, what else? Okay, let me ask you this question, another point of view. We're going to finish this training at the latest at 8 o'clock UK time. Okay. What are you doing at 8:01 UK time? I don't know. There's 233 people on this training. One of you may be visiting a dying relative in hospital. One of you may be dealing with an abusive partner. Many of you may be dealing with kids. Many of you may be dealing with personal tragedies. Right? Just statistically with the people here. So how do I want to ensure that you are at the end of this training? As best I can, if I'm going to be ethical and responsible. Safe, grounded, empowered, stable. Yes, stable. Okay, now you get my point of view. Okay, so I can take you into all kinds of depth and weirdness and madness and altered states, and we could do breath work and conscious dance and everybody get naked and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of it, you need to be able to pick up your kids. Right? At the end of it, you need to be able to cross the road without getting run over. There's a basic one that a lot of conscious dance doesn't bloody do, or yoga classes. You come out of Shavasana basically stoned and then send people out into the street. Well done. Slow clap, yoga teachers who do that. Okay? Wake people up. Get them out of that U-curve. If they're still crying at the end of the training, is that fair? They've now got to go, Laura's so lucky. Look at that. Someone bring her tea. That's all we want in life, isn't it? Someone who loves us to bring us tea. That's all we really want. I don't know what Laura's got to do after this. It could be horrible. It could be amazing. It could be she's doing her first ever TED talk on a big stage. What an opportunity, right? I don't want Laura to be like, oh my God, I'm crying. I can't handle what happened. And then go do a TED talk. No, that's not fair. Okay. So this emotional wrapping up is really important. Also, if they're satisfied, two things that are good, they'll feel good, but also they'll say, that was good. I will tell my friends. So just marketing wise, that's important as well. Yeah, that's everyone's benefit. Okay, other autumn things, and then we will take a break because my sense is you're flagging. Give me a wave if you're needing a break. Okay, we'll take a break in a few minutes, so I can see some of you a little bit tired. Yeah. Wrap up, clarity, winter, rest, reflection, integration, not doing. This is really tricky to ensure on a training because a lot of people just run straight back into their jobs, particularly in the corporate world. You know, if you have a yoga class, just say to people, you know what, the room's open for another 15 minutes. I hate it when studios book another class in directly afterwards. Allow at least 15 minutes. Okay, you don't want other people knocking on the door. Yeah.
A lot of people asking for putting the slides in the chat or the text of the slides.
Okay, I think did I do that for autumn? think I did.
No, for autumn you didn't. You did for spring and
My
summer.
bad. This is why you're here. Thank you. Good teamwork is having people that do things that you're bad at, like details. Okay. So that's the autumn. The winter part, often underdone, rest, reflection, integration. Sometimes I have a student on EFC and they're halfway through EFC, book themselves on another intensive transformational course that begins immediately after the end of the last of EFC. And I'm just like, don't do that. Give it 3 months, you know, have a rest. Cool. So 5 minutes for questions before we take a break. You can raise a hand. You can lower the hand.
No, not anymore.
I lowered them, so raise your hand again if you've got a question. I think they were left over hand raised. So raise your hand if you've got a question, or put it in the chat, and Daniela can. By the way, really useful, second track, having someone else who can look at the chat while you're teaching. Doing an online training, for if you've got 10 or more people, definitely have a second person. We sometimes have a team of 4 people for an online training. Daniela has probably been answering your questions for the last hour and a half as well, right? Yeah. Are we going to get this? Are we going to get that? Like, I've not seen all your questions. Daniela probably has. Direct message her. So I've got a hand raised for a question, or has everything I've said been perfectly clear?
There is a question in the chat around, can you explain the winter ethics part?
What was it? I've forgotten. Let's get it up again. Yes, dual relationships. So who knows what a dual relationship is? I think exactly what it sounds like. So for example, sleeping with a client, that's a dual relationship. It's an intimate relationship and a professional relationship. Another one that's less talked about is business relationships. Okay, so can you do business with people who have done transformational learning with you? I would say yes, but give it some time maybe, right? Maybe not at the same time. So while people are on EFC, for example, they cannot start a business project with us or anyone else on the course. And sometimes this is hard. They come up with some really great opportunities. They're like, oh, you should come on this. And I've got this podcast, you know, and we're just like, tell us in December after the course. Yeah. They're like, oh, do you want to come to Sweden? I'll host you in Sweden. I'm doing a festival and there's 500 people booked in. They really want you to come. Ask me next year. Yeah. So we don't enter into those business relationships during a transformational course. That's a dual relationship. We don't, of course, don't have intimate relationships with students. That's absolutely banned from the staff. And, you know, maybe there's a cooling off period. You know, Daniela tells me she's madly in love with a student and I'd say, wait 3 months and then ask him out. Yeah. Okay. So that way you're making sure there isn't abuse happening. Make sense? We had a fireman on the course one year, Daniela, and all the female members of staff asked me for specifics about how long the cooling off period was exactly, and literally got their diaries out in a meeting. It was outrageous. So he was a very lovely fireman, emotionally as well as physically. Okay. So they were like, is it 3 months? Okay, so is that from the end of the course or from the end of the homework? And they were like literally writing it down. Okay. Makes sense. Dual relationships. Any other questions? Hand raise. A couple of minutes. By the way, when there's no questions, that normally means just fucking give us a break, Mark. So let's take a break till 45 minutes past the hour. Okay, 45 minutes past the hour. So it's a 20-minute break. Wait. Especially you people that don't do spring, you've already jumped away from the computer. Hold on. Okay, so in this break, please take a break. What do I mean by that? I don't mean do emails for 20 minutes. Maybe get up, make a cup of tea, go for a walk, stretch, whatever's genuinely nourishing for you, because there's going to be another hour of intense information. We're quite intense in how we work. We're in summer right now, so this is the most intense part in a way. But really, really, please take a break, okay? Like an actual break, yeah? Okay, see you in 20 minutes. Hello, everyone. What did you do in your break? I played a computer game, did some pull-ups, and had a protein shake. All right, bringing it in. Who is screenshotting us? Gabby. Okay, camera's on if you wouldn't mind. Be nice to see as many of you as are willing. Key learnings. What have you learned so far? Key learnings, put it in the chat. Michelle, you're welcome to keep eating. Don't worry. It's all fine. You don't have to hide your food. Enjoy it. Nom, 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 nom. What have you learned so far? Establishing authority and trust. Yeah, trust is authority and warmth, just to clarify that. Pacing, phrasing, creative flow, embodiment is key. Oh, yes. Have to change how I do trainings. Okay, well, I've got some takeaways there. You know, I could say a lot about training design. Really, I could teach you 3 days on training design, but that model is the simplest, there's lots of other stuff we could say, but that's the most bang for your buck. Who here is experienced in training design already? Give me a wave. For experienced people, what was new for you in that and what was familiar? So put new, familiar in the chat. What was new, what was familiar? If you can't hear, you probably muted your computer, because I think it is possible that most people can hear. Great reminder, landing advice, when the stage was new. Cool. Okay, so we're starting to relate it to other things in your life. That's the beginning of a sort of autumnal thing, though we're still in summer. All righty. Let's look at the online component of this then. Let's do a quick survey. Who is already working online, already delivering trainings online? Put me in the chat, me. And who wants to? Put want. And who doesn't want to? You just put an X. It's like you're not that interested in this part. Okay, yeah, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I'm not saying you have to. Okay, so some say me or want or X, okay? Skeptical, yeah, fair enough. Good to be skeptical. Don't be cynical, but be skeptical. You're all welcome to be skeptical. Okay, one. Okay, so some of you are doing it, some of you need to do it. If you need to get your work online, don't we have a free resource or a resource you can buy in the shop for that, Daniela, about how to move online?
Yeah, I think meanwhile it is in the shop. It was free, available for a couple of weeks in March.
Okay. So if you want to put the link to the shop in, so anyone that said want, this would be a good thing. So today isn't a workshop on how to move your work online. It's about how to teach. It's about the training design part of online. So both of these will be useful if you put want. If you put me or if me already, then you don't need that training, I would say. We helped, what, about 4,000 people with this? Yeah, that light's a little bright, isn't it? Thank you for that. If I can, it's a bit shining through. Live in a cave here. How's that? Still glowing. I need sunlight though, don't I? All righty. Workable. Thumbs up. Workable. All right. What have we done already that we've modeled? Because there's two really ways you teach, right? There's what you say and there's what you show. Which of those do people listen more to? And on Work with Kids, you can tell them whatever you want. They ignore whatever you say. They copy what you do. Monkey see, monkey do. Correct, parents? Yeah. So what have we done already that may be useful takeaways for how to do online training? And then we'll draw out why we did those things. Humans for establishing warmth, but you could do that in person, couldn't you? That's not really any different from online. You're not wrong, but it's what would be real again. That's authenticity. But is that different online? Maybe there's nothing different. Why do we use breakout rooms? And by the way, we've used breakout rooms less today than we normally do. Yeah, we normally use them more than today. Why do you think we use breakout rooms? We'll do that at least one more time. Keep it interactive. Yeah, okay. So we keep it interactive. Why is this particularly important? Connection, someone said. How have we built connection online? Specifically, come on, I'm going to make you work. How have we done that today? Do you remember what we did right at the beginning? How did we build rapport with 229 people? And this is not a large training for us. This is half the size we had yesterday for another training. We asked questions, we did the maps, I used my voice, we did surveys and polls. People have an identity. And when they're in a group, they need to establish themselves. You'll actually almost see it like this. If you have a training room, you have a circle of 20 people, someone will put their hand up and they'll say, excuse me, I think you need to know that I'm clever, and I'm very clever, and I know a lot of stuff. And someone else will say, hi, I think you need to know that I'm really funny, and that's how I get love, by being really funny. And someone else will be like, hello, I'm here to help. Do you need an apple? I need to let you know that I'm the lovely one, so please love me. Okay, so what do you do in a training room? Yeah, and this is how we establish ourselves emotionally. Maybe you could put in the chat what you do. You do something. If you're self-aware, you know what it is. Okay, but also we establish, look, this is my job. This is where I'm from. What do you ask someone when you meet someone at a party? Hey man, how's it going? What's your name? You're John? Oh, hi John. Name? Okay, you want to hear their voice, hearing people's voice. One thing we didn't do today, we often do, is you unmute everyone. They say, hi. Just getting people's voice is helpful. What's your job? Where'd you come from? That's the basic questions you ask people. Make sense? Is that the same where you come from? You're at a party, you meet, oh, Steve, what's your name? Oh, Steve, okay, all right, Steve, I'm John. Okay, well, you're from Brighton? Yeah, I'm from Brighton. Okay, what do you do? You're a builder? Oh, okay, I'm a plumber. Okay, cool. Basic stuff, right? Wasn't you, Stephen? So basic stuff that human beings need to establish themselves. So there's no reason you can't do that online. Can I get you a drink? Yes, I'd love a cup of tea. Thank you. What else have we done online that might have been useful for building rapport? Anything specific? Okay, here's one I'll remind you of. Remember when we all leaned into the computer at the beginning? Let's all do that again, because you'll look a bit far away. Lean in. Lean, come on, Pascal, you especially. Have a little lean in. Smile at people, see who's here. It's embodiment-wise, when you lean forward, you go into connection. When you lean back, let's try the opposite. Everyone lean back. Put your chin up a bit. Lean. More disconnected, right? This is most people's habitual entertainment position. It's being disconnected. So this is one thing we play with. Another thing we sometimes play with, this is a really nice one. Let's just try this one together. 3 breaths together. Okay? Looking at the screen. Can't really do eye contact very so easily. I do like to look at the camera, but it's tricky because I keep looking at the screen instead. Yeah, that's something I've learned, but I keep forgetting. Let's do 3 breaths. So on 3, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, breathing in. And out. Breathing in. Looking at the screen as you do, breathing out. Breathing in. All the nice vibes from all the people around the world who want to learn. And breathing out all the bullshit. Let's do one more together just for luck. Breathing in, smiley Kate. And breathing out. Anyone from New Zealand? You could even do a virtual hongi. This is a virtual hongi. Everyone put their nose right up to the camera. Okay, this is how the Maori do it. And breathe in together. Going to share a breath. Breathing in. And then out. Do you feel a little bit more connected to the 225 people on this call now? Give me a little wave if you feel a bit more connected. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Okay, so building connection. The other thing is concentration. It's way easier to lose concentration online. As a trainer, you have to work harder. Yeah, how do I do that as a trainer? I'm putting quite a lot of energy into this. How do I do that as a trainer? How do I keep your attention? Come on, Darren, tell me. Jokes, tonality, voice. I ask questions. I keep you engaged, right? We do breakout rooms. That's someone said earlier, breakout rooms, yeah? I mix it up. We do the bouncing balls. We do the thing on the screen, so you're not just looking at the screen the whole time. I ask questions. I change my tonality. Daniela, how do I keep people's attention, Daniela?
Movement, stretching.
Stretch breaks for you guys. Daniela, what am I doing right now?
Now you ask people for engagement.
Great, I'm bringing in you as well, right? You're a different voice. So they go, oh, that's something new. Female voice, that's different. Okay, German accent. Do as you're told, schnell. Okay, so sometimes I'll even name people on the screen, okay? I'll make jokes, yeah? So all of this is to keep engagement. So I'm quite good at online engagement because I used to work with groups of 50 to 100 children outside, okay? You try and control 100 kids outside. Just try and basically manage them at all. So you develop this somatic capacity for width, for being able to be big and being able to keep engagement. And you need to be able to move from the authoritative to the warmth very quickly. Makes sense? Yes? Yes, it does, doesn't it? See what I did there? Okay. So tonality is important. Imagine if I did the whole training like this, Maria, and the whole training was just boring, and Angela was falling to sleep, and Darren was thinking about doing something more interesting, and she's eating a biscuit now, and the whole training was just done like this. And Krista Ray has a dartboard in the background, so she's probably in England because no one else plays darts. Yeah. So I'm letting you know I can see you and live, and this is why I like cameras on, yeah. But equally, as I said, genuinely, if people want to hide, that's also okay, right? It just means for me as a trainer, I want to get a feedback loop. A thing that's weird as a trainer is that there's no sound because Daniela's muted everyone. Let me give you a little trick. If I unmute 5 or 6 people. Ooh. I'm going to unmute a few people. What you're going to hear.
Hi.
I wish I was in England.
Oh, don't talk. I want to prove a point. Did you hear the little noises they're making, even when they're not talking? So that makes you, as a trainer, feel like there's people there, which is good. You hear the little noises from their cameras, or they're moving their cat, or whatever, right? So if you're a bit nervous, that's because your brain's going, what's the fuck's going on? Yeah, plus it's just a lot of people. So that, you know what, you get used to that. It's like walking on a stage or asking someone on a date. Or, yeah, you know, you do build your capacity for that with numbers. But there's just a little trick in terms of that. Another one is to actually look at your friends. So I'll say, who do I know? And then my brain goes, that's a nice person I know, not a random stranger. That's no different than if you do a talk for 100 people in person, actually. Okay, so keeping engagement, keeping people focused, mixing it up, all those things. This is a little bit different. This is a little bit different than in person. It just takes a little bit more work, basically. Engagement, connection is one, again, you have to work a little bit harder for. Why? Because we can't touch. Here's the other thing that's hard work. We don't have a shared embodied context. So embodiment geeks, this is the latest version of the model. It's a bit complicated, but basically we're always embodied in a context. Some of this is different, like biological context. My biology and Daniela's biology is quite different, I would hasten to say. Okay, hormonally, for example. Very likely we have different hormones in our system. All right, culturally we have a different context. Yeah. Relationally, that's a shared thing. So the relational context is Daniela and I are friends, but I'm basically her boss and we're colleagues, right? There's a particular relationship there. We've never been romantically involved. We are friends. We have had fun together. You know, there's a particular context of the relationship, yeah? That's what you build with participants. The last one, environmental context, is we evolved for that to be shared. And now it's not. This is fucking weird. Think about this. As a human being, you were always different than other people in terms of your character, whatever. Culturally, we were always set the same until recently. Cultural diversity is a pretty new phenomenon for most of the world. Yeah, so that was in the 50s, that was a shared context. You could all assume we were British or German or whatever, right? There's very little cultural diversity back then. Some, but not like it is now. That means it's more confusing now. Yeah, you have to work your head around that. Environmentally, some of you, what time of day is it where you are? Put in the chat. Put in the chat. What time of day is it? We're like 1 p.m. See, that is a very different context. We've got from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 11 p.m. Yeah. So that feels different. That creates a mismatch between me and you. Okay. Equally, in terms of empathy, I can see you, which builds a rapport in terms of empathy and mirror neurons, right? Like some people say, oh, you can't convey energy online. I'm like, oh, really? Then why does a Hollywood movie work? Why does music work? Right? It's conveying embodiment through the ears. A movie works through the visual sense as well, but it's not the same as being touched, right? I can watch a war movie and go, oh, that's a bit scary, but it'd be a lot more scary if it was in real life. So we're losing channels of connection. Okay. So we got the visual channel, but we don't have touch. We don't have smell. That's quite important. Who likes the smell of their boyfriend or girlfriend or partner? It's quite important, right? Oh, Alex, I have to put my hand up. She's right here. Okay. No. So mostly we like the smell of that person. And we haven't got that. So part of our brain is going, why doesn't this person smell? Make sense? We smell fear. We smell illness. We smell anger on a subconscious level. So we can't do that. So part of your brain is going, why don't you smell? I don't get it. You ever seen a cat look at a mirror and freak out? It's trying to smell the mirror. It's like, why doesn't this mirror smell? Because it's a mirror. The cat doesn't realize, right? That's what this is like. We can't touch. That's normal. Why do human beings shake hands? It's very common to do some kind of touch. Some cultures more than others, obviously. Yeah, because you get a felt sense of someone. Feeling is believing. How do you know this isn't a clever virtual Mark Walsh talking to you right now? You don't, right? Part of you is like, well, with the technology, it could be, you know, a computer Mark. Have you ever seen that technology? God, it's clever. So, but feeling is believing. That's why we see something, we're not sure it's real, we go to reach it. So there's a sense online that it's not quite real. You with me? Touch is, like, if you wanted to know if the table in front of you is real, what would you do? You'd touch it, right? You'd make sure. Because we know that we can be more easily fooled visually and auditorily. You can hear something, go, what was that? Then you look for it, because the visual's better than auditory. Okay, and then you can touch it if you're still not sure. Yeah? Babies also put it in their mouth. That's how they touch. It's not tasting, that's touch. These are very sensitive touch receptors. Yeah. So visually, your brain is going, what the fuck's going on? I can see human beings, but I can't smell them. I can't touch them. Maybe there's some electromagnetic thing that happens between humans that isn't happening. Yeah. So some of the channels of human communication aren't there, which means the other channels we have to work a bit harder. Are you following this or not? I'm speaking quite quick. So have a quick stretch, Let's keep you energized and engaged. Little shake. Have a jingle. Have a jingle. A little shake if you can. Imagine you've got beans, like a bean bag, and you're full of beans, and you're trying to move the beans throughout your whole body. Throughout your legs, throughout your hands, throughout your feet. You can tap. Tap anything you can't feel. Can you feel your ass? Tap it. Can you feel your back? Tap it. Sitting is numbing. Yeah? Something called sensory motor amnesia. The more we sit, the more we numb out. We become disembodied in the temporal state sense of disembodiment. Okay? So if you've got people sitting for 2.5 hours, it's a long time. Daniela, what do you think Zoom fatigue is, Daniela? Talk about Zoom fatigue right now. What do you think it is?
I mean, what you just said is all like feeding into Zoom fatigue, but I personally also think there is a huge part of habituality in that. Mm-hmm. So we are like we're being thrown out of an active life into lockdown and moving everything online. And nothing else in our environment is actually adapted to that. So you can't copy paste the real life into the online world. That counts for training and that counts for everything else. So I do think we need to get habituated to that. And if you think back into history, like when phones were introduced, people would make up all kind of things, like it makes them tired, it's dangerous. And there is a core truth to that, but it's not the final truth. So working online limits a little bit our availability. So the way you can be present in the face-to-face world, you can't be present this amount of time in an online world. Like Mark mentioned,
work. Yeah, huh? Takes work, doesn't it? Like 3 hours is a long time on Zoom, a long time.
It's a long time, but if you have a workshop in the face-to-face world, 3 hours is nothing. It goes quick. So there is a difference. So you need to arrange your whole life a little bit different. And every time when we learn a new habit, a new way of being, it takes time and it's tiring. Like, just remember, if you learn a new language and suddenly you need to speak a new language, you are done in the evening. And Zoom fatigue is a little bit also feeding into that. So
yeah, a few people have got into expert mode in the chat. Notice that habitual expert mode come back, but it's good advice. Like the eyes one, like the eyes can just get tired. That's a very simple physical one. So like looking out the window into the distance, that's quite a good trick. What's the furthest away thing you can see right now? Like that bird up there or that cloud, you know? So that's just a physical one that's quite useful, like the standing up. Yeah.
So I think Zoom fatigue is complex. It is like the disembodiment, the change of habit, and yeah, the lack of different channels of connection.
The other thing is, like, we're probably all quite undernourished right now. So I wonder if it's Zoom fatigue or just generally we're not getting as much touch as we normally do, or as much travel or fun or stimulation. So it may well be you're just undernourished, or it's just general fatigue and you happen to be on Zoom.
Yeah.
We've had some calls that were really fun content with really nice people, and all of a sudden no one had Zoom fatigue, right? So it's like, was it the Zoom or was it just how you were? You know, was it the content? That being said, we've been finding 3 hours is kind of a limit. And when I did a 2-day workshop on Zoom, and what I would do is like once a day on those 2 days, actually it's 3 days, I got people to go on a phone buddy, and then they went for a walk while talking on the phone. So you swap numbers with another participant or swap WhatsApp details, and then you go for a walk. I'd say, okay, let's say I did this now. I'd say, right, swap numbers with someone. We'll do breakout rooms to make that happen. Breakout rooms of 2, swap details, spend the next 30 minutes going for a walk, talking about what you've learned. And that just gave people a break from sitting down, gave them a break from the computer, and they come back, everyone's super energized. Yeah. So giving people long breaks. And, you know, as I said, this comes down to channels, which is what I just described. This graphic's a little complex, but basically you're losing some channels. Yeah, you're losing some of the channels. So I usually use this graphic when I'm telling people why they shouldn't email around their conflicts, right? So if you're in conflict, text message is a terrible idea. Email is a terrible idea. It's okay for data, but it's easy, but it's not very good for depth or connection. Okay, so on Zoom, or it says here Skype, because it's a bit of an old graphic, you've got some of these things, but not others, okay? So there's some of the stuff you get from, say, dancing with someone. Touch isn't really there. Movement can be there. We could all move together. We could do some shared movements together. That's quite nice to do in a group. Get everyone doing a bit of qigong or something like that, yeah? Okay. I'm not expecting you to learn that whole graphic now, but the basic idea is just that you've lost channels of communication. All right, so there's some of the main things that we see online. Anything people want to add to that? I haven't seen the chat in a while. Someone's shouting in capital letters.
I think one thing we might need or want to add is a little bit that, like, being online also has has advantages. It's not just like being Zoom fatigued, but there are also options to include people who you don't easily include in face-to-face trainings. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah. Let me ask you guys another. Someone's asked me, would I teach a 3-hour movement session, including a break online? Possibly. Yeah. Particularly movement's a bit better because they're not sitting down. So that aspect of Zoom fatigue is less. Why is it better to teach online? How is it better? There are some ways it's superior to face-to-face. So someone said here, I would not be able to participate if I had to come to London. Right, so it's practical for some people. Yes, silence, I'm not sure what that is. Accessibility, scalability, I mentioned earlier, both in terms of accessibility and potentially profit. Inclusion, no commute, great. What difference does it make that there's no travel other than money, environment, what else? Think about this. If depth work, energy levels, right? None of you got exhausted getting here. You know how tiring it is to go on the London Underground to get to Brighton? Fucking hell. Yeah? People turn up at my trainings. They had to get up at 6 a.m. They've been on 3 trains, you know. Where do you feel most safe in the world? Please put that in the chat. You know where I feel most safe? Around my friend Ari, who's an ex-Israeli commando, and Marav, who used to work for Israeli intelligence. Anywhere where they are, I feel safe. Other than that, home. That would be the next best bet. Okay. So many of you wrote home. Jail, you feel safest in jail. Okay, cool, interesting. So jail's not that safe for me. Most people, a lot of people wrote home. So think about this. Where do people do Zoom trainings from? Home, right? So in terms of participants feeling safe, also, can you do this on a training? You can't see me. Okay, you can hide. And some of the people hiding, if you look, how many people are hiding? Half the people here are hiding. Now, that might be that they're, you know, naked or, you know, doing something inappropriate. That might be they just can't be bothered and they're not really paying attention and they don't want to, you know, me to realize that they're fucking doing a half-assed version of my course. Okay. Or it might be that actually they're having a tough time. Their life's quite tough. They don't really want to be looked at. You know, that is totally fine. If you're in that box, I totally get it. Okay. I've been there. You're maxed out of being looked at. You feel a bit vulnerable. You're upset. So many reasons. And that way they can actually feel safe. In a room full of, who's an introvert? You weird introvert scum. Put your hands up. Okay. The introvert can be, my wife's really introvert. It's like, I'm an extrovert. I like being in a room full of people. It's not my wife's idea of a good time. You know, we'll go out in public and she'll say, Mark, I'll come with you, but to make sure people don't talk to me. You know, I don't like people. She's Ukrainian. That's why she speaks like that. Okay. So it's like in Zoom, you don't have to speak to people. You don't have to do breakout rooms. You don't have to engage. Right. So it could be better for the introverts. It could be better for the people that have been abused. Like, I can't touch you here. Think about this. If you had a sexual abuse background, right? No one can touch you. Isn't that fucking great? If you need that to feel safe, what a wonderful thing. Makes sense? Yeah. It's lovely, isn't it? There's a beauty to this. I don't want you to think of Zoom as a pale substitute for real training. Like this is Daniela. Remember the conference, 2018? 3 or 4 days in, a weird thing happened. It started going really deep and we weren't expecting it. And we were like, whoa. And then we had to start warning people, guys, be careful. This is way deeper than I thought it was going to be. Guys, look after yourself. Don't go on too many calls. You're overdoing it. A lot of people were overdoing it. They had a scarcity, fear of missing out, you know, and they were doing every single session. We had to stop people doing that because it was going so deep. They were really going into process, you know. This is a disadvantage, however, is that I can't monitor you so well. If I'm in a training room and Annabelle runs out in tears, I can follow her and say, are you okay? Or I can ask my assistant and say, Daniela, she's gone to the girls' toilet. She's crying. Can you go in there and see if she's all right? Can't do that here. It's nice to see you, by the way, Annabelle. You can't do that online. So I think you have to be more careful in terms of how much you push it, extreme things, you know, state chasing. It's not the same as in person from a safety point of view in terms of being able to monitor that people's well-being is taken care of. Yeah. So I think you need to consider that. Like we just did a breathwork day. I was saying to the breathwork teachers, whatever you normally teach in a workshop, do half of that online, half as intense. Okay. Don't do any of you, because often when you host these things, people want to do their most hardcore kick-ass techniques. I'm like, don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. Yeah. So you have to, I think that's part of being responsible online. Okay, pros and cons to teaching online, advantages and disadvantages, breakout rooms, 5 minutes, introvert scum, feel free not to click on the link. People that like to talk, feel free to click on it. 5 minutes, groups of 5 or 6, advantages and disadvantages of online learning. We're all just discovering this, right? So it's like, you know, Daniela and I are kind of thinking out loud a lot here. It's good to bring your points of view in.
It would be really interesting to get the perspective of more people on that.
Yeah, no one is an expert on this. We're just finding out.
Okay, opening breakouts now.
There you go. Daniela, we're going to do resources. Do you have any good resources? Okay, I'll hold my horses. Think about Margaret Thatcher. That's what I used to have to do when I was 18. Not anymore. That was quite a dirty joke. Okay, we are back. Good. Alrighty. So, top tips advantages and disadvantages. Put pro or con in the online in the chat, and we'll see if we've sort of got them all. I think we're just learning this stuff, so I'm genuinely interested in what you put. Too much info, sorry, Suzanne. Pro, but what is a pro? Pro, less distraction, okay. Inclusive of those who cannot move freely, yes, big pro. Mute, unmute, big pro. Breakout rooms, by the way, quicker than in person. You save time. You know how long it takes to get a group of 100 people into groups of 4? Fucking hell. It takes all day, even with a room team to help. Here, you just press a button. No travel, pro, reduced travel, fast, con, less choice of what access, no travel, pro and con. As a choir sing, yeah. We have an AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous meeting I go to, not very anonymous, telling 200 people while being recorded. Anyway, in AA, we do a serenity prayer together. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. When you do it in person, by the 5th word, everybody's beautifully synchronized. Okay, and this is socially regulating. If you think choirs, you think churches, people love to socially regulate through the voice. This is one of the co-regulatory strategies, we call it in trauma work. Can't really do it online. It's really difficult because of the slight time lag that's slightly different on different people's things. So yeah, vocal co-regulation is very hard. You can do it this way though. Let's do an om together. You ready to get spiritual? Daniela, 3, 2, 1, unmute. Quite the same. It's not quite as good as in person. With about 50 people, that can work. What else? It's a disaster to do so. Yes, it's a total disaster. Sound and music. Daniela, anything you want to say about sound and music?
Yeah, so there are options to share sound and share videos with sound. So you can share your computer sound. There are quite a lot of tutorials, so I'm not going to show here. Happy to share, like in the emails, the tutorials on Zoom. However, there is something around the copyright of music. So you need to have royalty-free music if you stream. Otherwise, you don't really have the copyright to stream online. It's a different law. And you also need, what do I wanted to say? Yeah, there is this delay when you try to do synchronized movement or what are you doing, Mark? You're totally distracting me.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm sorry. I sort of fight the power. I had to press play. Okay. Yeah, so there's copyright issues, aren't there? I probably just broke the law then. There's copyright issues to do with this. So a lot of people are using either friends' music or like open source music, Creative Commons music, stuff like that. Okay. So, and if you play it through the computer like I did, it sounds way better than if you try and play it in the room. So playing through the computer is a key if you are going to play music. Okay. Live versus in person. Shall we reveal our secret sauce, Daniela? It's kind of a trade secret to the embodiment conference. So
Yeah,
I think we should, let's be generous. We like to be generous. So most events will pre-record. The reason they pre-record is because you can control more that way. You can make sure someone's Wi-Fi doesn't break. You can have it in person. You can take out any jokes that were politically a bit too incorrect, etc., etc. Okay, so you get more control with pre-recording. You might want that. But what's the big but? What is the big but? And I cannot lie. I love big buts. No. So the big but here is that it's not live. Okay. And live is more live. It's alive. It feels fresh. It feels real. The Embodiment Conference has live chat, live breakout. It feels like you're there. It's on an edge. That to me is worth a lot more than most people think. A lot more than most people think. Yeah. So we're big fans of live training rather than pre-recorded. However, if you want to be more of a control freak, like all our competitors, then don't do it. Don't do it live. Don't do it live. Okay. So yes, this is our secret sauce for the Embodiment Conference, and the price we pay for that is we're constantly walking on edge. and anything could go wrong at any minute and we'd be screwed. So there is a price to pay for being live as well. So it's kind of like this. Is that a fair assessment, Daniela, would you say?
Yeah, so certainly. And there's also like, because Adrienne wrote in the chat, like webinar. Yeah, webinar is also controlling a lot of factors. It's like streaming, making it slick, making it nice, but it misses out the humanness of connection.
Yeah, and remember, there's the connection is one of the key things for trust, for transformational work, for learning, that present moment connection. In fact, can I see a few more of you on camera? Is that possible? It feels like a lot of you have. Can you recommit to the next 10, 15 minutes before we end? Because some of you are a little bit in the background, half asleep. Yeah, wake yourself up, tap on your head, give yourself an ear job, make a funny face. Okay, this is the 2.5 hour lag point. Do you feel it? It often happens on Zoom. People are, I've had enough. It's been good, but I've had enough. So let's just make sure we complete our awesome stuff and then we'll finish in 10, 15 minutes, okay? So, okay. Online, in person, in many ways the same, in some ways different, particularly in terms of connection. Someone asked me, do you need more charisma? Well, warmth plus power, the yin and yang I talked about earlier, that could be a definition of charisma. I think you need to be able to keep engagement. So it takes a lot of energy more than charisma. You need to be quite on it. I'm usually pretty drained after an online training like this. Not so much if I did a 3-hour, workshop, wouldn't be so tired. So do you think you have to put a bit more into it and be, considerate of some of the factors like the breakout rooms, keeping engagement, bringing people in, shared coherence practices like the breathing or the movement together? Yeah, this keeping people awake by stretching and moving. They're the basics, but it's not so different. The basic U curve, designing training makes sense. Okay, what helps you be the most not to be drained after a website? That is a great question. Let me broaden the question up. How do you not be drained after anything? Question, what drains you? All right, the thing that drains most people is being fake. Okay, that's the thing that drains most people. So the more yourself you are, the less of an act you're putting on, the easier it is. Yeah. Okay, so hello, that's Victoria and her daughter. Nice to see you again. So hello. Okay, sorry, so there's a child here now, I have to show off. That's just how I am with kids. Okay, so if the more fake you are, the more you'll be drained. Also, the more your ego is involved. So there's something called Rockstar Come Down. I did my first talk for 1,000 people in Moscow about 6 years ago. Turned out there's 1,000 people there, most of whom were fantastically beautiful women or terrifying looking men. And I'm there, none of them are smiling because it's Russia, and I'm there and I'm going, fuck, So I did the talk, and I'm halfway through, my ego got involved. I started thinking I was pretty awesome, talking to all these people. Yeah. Even showing off even more than normal. The next day, I was depressed. I was like suicidally depressed. This is like a career highlight, and I feel terrible. Luckily, I'm a clever man. So I phoned up my friend Jamie, who used to be a rock star. Does anyone know the band Faithless? Have you heard of the band Faithless? Anyway, my friend Jamie was in the band Faithless, so he's a good person to talk to. And he said, oh, yeah, mate, that's normal. You're not a rock star. Come down. That happens. So the trick here is the less your ego is involved, the more you're in service to the group, the less you'll be exhausted afterwards. This is another key principle. So authenticity, service rather than ego. And lastly, it is just practice. Like I have a capacity for doing a training for 200 people now. It's not a big deal. First time I did 200 people on a training, it felt intense and exhausting because my adrenaline was up. So the more your adrenaline's up, the more you're going to get exhausted by it. So can you keep in that sweet spot of energized, but not like super adrenal? I think that is the key thing here. Yeah. Slow down, Fabienne. You sound angry with your capital letters. What is the problem, mon petit show? Okay. I don't mind slowing down. That is no problem. All right. Cool. That was a good question. I've been thinking about this myself a lot recently. I think we've got the main points here. Any final questions before we wrap up? Victoria, your children are killing each other behind your back, just so you're aware. Just let them to it. Survival of the fittest, right? One of them will survive. That will probably be the strong one. Genes go forward. It's a good thing. Maximum number for a movement workshop when you want to be able to see everyone. Good question. Well, on my screen, I can see 25 people. Okay, on my Zoom layout, it's different depending on your phone and the computer and stuff. So if I want to be able to have supervision, like I want to check that everybody's doing the EYP posture like this and not like this, or emotionally, I want to be able to see that you're all okay. If you need that level of supervision, technically or emotionally, yes, you absolutely need to do that. Yeah, you absolutely need to do that. Yeah, good. Any other questions? What not to do online that you would in person? Well, I think it relates to a lot of the things we've talked about. So it's kind of across the board here. Toxic shame response. That sounds terrific. Burnout. These are just words. Do you work with a microphone? Yes. Big black one. Okay. External mic headsets are pretty good, like even an iPhone one, but don't use the computer mic. I'll show you the difference in sound. You can hear it if you want. I'll just change my settings so you can hear the difference. So this is me speaking with my microphone, the normal microphone. Oh, no, it's not. What the hell? I think we've just discovered I haven't been using my posh microphone the entire time. There we go. That was clever of me. I've got a £200 microphone that wasn't plugged in the entire time. So this is what computer audio sounds like. Let's see if we can make it sound nicer. Classic mistake. Okay, if we could get a microphone. How does that sound now? Does that sound any different? Does it sound better or worse? That sounds worse now. It sounds worse than this. This sounds better. This sounds better now. And my posh big black mic sounds worse. This sounds worse now. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I clearly know nothing. It's time to leave, I think. I can no longer offer you anything. Okay, seems like my mic's not doing very well. Maybe it's time for a new mic. Technical stuff isn't really my thing. So thank you for playing with me. All right, so closing things. Resources. We don't really know resources on teaching online. Does anyone have any good resources? Yeah? Does anyone have any good resources? Because we've sort of basically gone, we couldn't think of any good books. I mean, you'll look, training design we teach on all our major courses, like the Embodied Facilitator course. There's books on training design. Anyone got any good resources online? Feel free to share those in the chat. Learning to Learn, Public Speaking Association Facebook group. Okay, nice. Yeah. Okay, cool. What else do we need to do in an autumn to finish? Get a rest after this. Please, even though it's been online, you might have been sitting down. You may still be a bit tired. We've been going through a lot of content and it might be a bit exhausting. So I'm recommending having a rest there. That could be helpful. What else should I be doing in my autumn? Anyone? Clarifying learning. Most important thing you learned today? Anyone want to put that in the chat? It's not a unicorn t-shirt your daughter's got on there, is it, Victoria? Oh my God. You know what they call me? The unicorn killer. That's what they call me. Unicorn killer. Yeah. Trust, cycles, building authority and trust. Okay. Rockstar come downs. Good. I'm a little tired now, so I'm just going to check my notes. I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover, Daniela, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so I want you guys to leave feeling resourced. So I'm going to lead you through a little bit of a, remember what I said earlier about resourcing yourself? I'm going to lead you through a little bit of a meta kindness meditation, if you're up for that. And just so whatever you go to next, you'll be feeling a little bit better. Very likely, okay? So if you know this upsets you, I would say leave now. It's been nice to have you. If not, please find a comfortable upright position. Strangle the children near you. And notice what's supporting your body. Yeah, you might want to turn the camera off if that helps you go inside a little bit. where is there wellness in your body? What part of your body feels most well? Where is there ease or warmth or relaxation? You can do this with the eyes open or the eyes closed. Maybe letting the jaw be a bit softer, the belly be a bit more relaxed. Yeah, I can tense and release the shoulders or the belly if that helps. Breathing a little deeper. No big deal. Maybe taking a moment to thank yourself for coming. You've come to learn something, maybe something that can help other people. It's a nice intention to have. Maybe something you can apply to your life. No, I can use that in my training. I can use that. Well, that wasn't so useful, but that was good. I'm going to steal that joke. I'm never going to say that joke. Make a mental note of a couple of things you can take away and apply in your life to help yourself and others. Thanking yourself for making space, taking energy. If you want to watch the recordings, they'll be available for free for a day or two, I think. Send you those if you missed some of it. Maybe thinking of all the people out there in the world you can help with your increased training design skill. People who are going to benefit, maybe yoga students or corporate students. You can even imagine, if you're a visualizer, imagining some light going from you to them. Thanking yourself for coming. Wishing yourself well for the rest of the day. No big deal, just gently saying, yeah, may I be happy, may I be well. Whatever phrases work in your first language. Giving yourself a little kindness. Maybe noticing if your body needs a rest or it needs to move. Most of you have been here 2 hours, 40 minutes. You might have a cheeky 15 minutes you weren't expecting in your day, so you can use that for rest or energizing or chasing a squirrel up a tree. Anything you want. What would be useful, helpful, nourishing? Wishing yourself well. Maybe wishing Daniela well, who's been looking after us, sending her a little psychic hug or kiss. And maybe looking at the screen, if you're willing to turn your cameras on, wishing each other well. A little community that we're letting go of now. Clingy people. I know it's hard, clingy people. Some of you people that don't do autumn have already left. So, why is this autumn still happening? So it's been quite fun. I've enjoyed it. Daniela, thank you. Hopefully people picked up something of use. Please do tell people about the Embodiment Conference. There's a few bits in my book on training design and training. Those of you who like that. If you ever want to find my stuff, just Google Embodiment. We have a podcast, we have a book, we have a conference, special pants with embodiment around the top instead of Calvin Klein. Actually, can we get those, Daniela? That would be awesome. Yes. Good. I think that's enough bullshit, don't you guys? It was a fun few hours. Time to go. Let's finish by saying thank you in our first language. Can you do a mass unmute, Daniela? If anyone's watching porn in the background, please stop. We don't want to hear it. So 1, 2, 3, unmute. Thank you, everybody.
Bravi, grazie.